You've been manipulated. Not once, not twice, but so many times that part of you started calling it normal. You didn't wake up one day and decide to tolerate it. It crept in, slowly, quietly, like fog rolling under a door. And by the time you realized what was happening, you were already deep inside it, explaining away the red flags, second-guessing your instincts, and wondering if maybe the problem was you. The worst manipulators don't scream. They don't slam doors or throw plates. They smile. They listen. They mirror you so perfectly that you start to feel seen, maybe for the first time in years. They study your values, echo your pain, and reflect back the version of you you most want to believe in. And that's how they get in. Not through force, through familiarity. At first it feels perfect. They validate you, celebrate you, make you feel chosen. You start to believe you finally found someone who understands you, someone who sees the real you, someone who makes you feel safe. But slowly, the rules start to change. They test your boundaries in ways that feel small, a joke that stings, a guilt trip disguised as care, a subtle shift in tone when you disagree, and you start to shrink, just a little, just enough to keep the peace. You tell yourself it's not a big deal, that maybe you're being too sensitive, that love is supposed to be hard, but deep down, something feels off. You just don't know how to name it, and that's exactly what they want. Because confusion is control. If they can make you question your instincts, they can rewrite your reality. You start explaining away the red flags, you rationalize, you compromise, you adapt. Until one day, you don't recognize yourself. You're walking on eggshells. You're second-guessing every word. You're apologizing for things you didn't do. And still, you stay. Because leaving feels like failure. Because you've already invested. Because part of you believes this is the best you'll get. But here's the truth. Manipulation only works when you've been trained to ignore your own instincts. If you grew up in chaos, if you had to earn love, if you were punished for speaking up, then you learn to override your gut. You learn to prioritize peace over truth, connection over boundaries, survival over self. So when a manipulator shows up, you don't see danger, you see home. And that's the trap. Because your nervous system isn't wired for safety, it's wired for what's familiar. Even if what's familiar is pain, you're not weak, you're not stupid, you're not broken, you're repeating, and repetition feels safer than change. But safe doesn't mean good. Familiar doesn't mean right. And love shouldn't feel like a test you keep failing. Manipulators don't just twist your words. They twist your sense of self. They make you doubt your memory, your emotions, your reality. They convince you that your reactions are overreactions, that your boundaries are punishments, that your needs are flaws. And once they've done that, they own the narrative. You stop trusting yourself. You start trusting them. And that's when they have you. They'll tell you they're doing it for your own good, that they're helping you grow, that they're just being honest. But honesty without empathy is cruelty. And growth without safety is trauma. Manipulators weaponize vulnerability. They use your openness against you. They turn your confessions into ammunition. And they do it so subtly that you don't even realize it's happening until you're already bleeding. You start to feel like you're walking through a maze with no exit. Every time you think you've found a way out, they move the walls, they change the rules, they rewrite the story. And you keep playing along because you're afraid of what happens if you stop. You're afraid of being alone, of being wrong, of being the villain in their version of events. But here's what you need to know. You don't escape manipulation by confronting the manipulator. You escape it by reconnecting with yourself. You start by noticing when something feels off, when your body says no, but your mouth says yes, when you're explaining away behavior that hurts. That's your gut trying to speak. Listen. Then you practice boundaries, tiny ones. Say no to something small. Disagree politely. Hold your ground on a minor issue. Every boundary you hold is a vote for your reality. Every time you trust your gut, you rebuild the part of you that was trained to disappear. And slowly, you start to see manipulation for what it is, a strategy, not a mystery, not a curse, not something you deserve. You weren't taught how to receive love. You were taught how to survive it. And now, survival feels safer than connection. But connection is still possible. It just starts with you. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be awake. Because the moment you stop mistaking manipulation for love, you become impossible to control. And that's when everything changes. You'll start to notice the patterns, the way they escalate when you set boundaries, the way they retreat when you stand firm, the way they twist your words when you speak clearly, and instead of shrinking, you'll expand. Instead of apologizing, you'll clarify. Instead of doubting, you'll trust yourself. You'll lose people. That's inevitable. Manipulators don't stick around when they can't control the narrative, but the people who remain, the ones who respect your boundaries, honor your truth, and celebrate your growth, those are the ones worth keeping. And you'll start to rebuild. Slowly, quietly, with intention. You'll learn to recognize safety not by how exciting it feels, but by how consistent it is. You'll learn to trust people who don't need to be the center of your world. You'll learn to love without losing yourself, because manipulation isn't just about control. It's about disconnection. It's about severing you from your own truth. And healing is about reconnecting with your instincts, your boundaries, your voice, your story. You were never broken. You were just taught to doubt yourself. And now, you're unlearning that. You're rewriting the script. You're reclaiming your reality. And that's the most dangerous thing you can do to a manipulator. You stop playing the role they wrote for you. You start living the story you were meant to tell.